After watching this game against the Clippers team with no Paul George, I'm incredibly concerned for the Suns. All of their flaws were on display today: a lack of defense, and especially a lack of depth. They only had 10 bench points today, and everyone on their bench was a minus. And looking over at the other side and the depth of the Clippers, it's really what won the game for them, as everyone on their bench had a positive plus minus, and when Kawhi was out, their bench was able to hang in with the Suns. And if the Clippers want to win this series in advance, they really need their depth to hang in during the Kawhi-less minutes. Now, moving over to Kawhi, this is everything you wanted out of him. He looked like 2019. He looked like 2021 before the ACL tear. He was just unstoppable. He made plays on defense. He got to his spots on offense. He hit clutch buckets. And when there were moments when the Clippers looked like they could lose hold of the game, he held them down and he got huge shots. This is really key because before the series I said Kawhi was going to need to be the great equalizer for the Clippers. And if they're playing a team that may have a better roster than them or more top-end talent, Kawhi was going to need to match that. And that's exactly what he did tonight. He matched that. He exposed the Suns' lack of defense, and what that did was created easier shots for his teammates around him. Now, looking at the other side and looking at Kevin Durant, one thing that really disappointed me about Kevin Durant in this game was his lack of aggression in the fourth quarter, as he deferred to Devin Booker. He deferred to DeAndre Ayton, and Ayton taking long twos in the clutch is disgusting. He deferred to Chris Paul at times. He just needs to remember who he is. He is Kevin Durant. He is one of the best scorers the game has ever seen. He is one of the hardest players to guard ever. And he just needs to take over in situations like this. And Kawhi took over, but Kevin sort of refused to, and he didn't take enough shots. Now, on the topic of aggression, this Phoenix team is incredibly soft. They played incredibly soft. DeAndre Ayton, at the end of the game, he wanted to take mid-range jump shots, and he didn't want to grab any rebounds. And Westbrook went and took it from him. Devin Booker, end of the game. They're trying to tie. He goes for a quick two. He gets blocked by Westbrook. And what does he do? Instead of grabbing the rebound, he starts complaining to the refs and has the ball thrown out of bounds, and that was the end of the game. And in the clutch like that, you can't whine to the refs. There comes to a point where you cannot control anything. So in that moment, Booker needed to grab the rebound, kick it back out, and see if the Suns could tie the game. But no, the Suns just want to be soft. Durant doesn't want to shoot at the end of the game. Booker doesn't want to get the rebound. Ayton doesn't want to be there. And that's incredibly concerning because in the playoffs, you need toughness. And when you look at the toughness on the other side, they did not care. Kawhi Leonard did not care. He's going up. He's shooting it. Westbrook was 3 of 19. That is horrible. Guess what? He kept crashing the glass. He kept going hard on defense. They did not care. The Clippers just kept fighting, and the Suns had no fight in them. And I hate to simplify something as much as a playoff series to do you have that dog in you? But the Suns, they have no dog. And looking at Westbrook specifically, yeah, he was honestly terrible shooting. Absolutely terrible. But he never stopped. He made clutch free throws at the end. He got big rebounds, and he was all over the place during the game. And I said he was going to need to be their X Factor this series, and that was probably the most X Factor performance you could get. And moving forward, I do probably want him to shoot a little bit less. 19 shots is a ton, and when they're not falling, you maybe need to tone it down. But you take what you get with Westbrook, and what you got yesterday was not a great shooting performance at all, actually a really terrible one, but everything else was great, and he was a big part of this Clippers win. The final concern for the Suns that I had was Chris Paul did not look very good for most of this game. He was able to have some moments, but he just looked very old, and they're really going to need him to be at his best during the series if they want to get by. And in closing, for the Suns, I want to see Kevin Durant be more aggressive. I want to see Booker be more aggressive, and I want to see Ayton be more aggressive. I just need more aggression from this team because the Clippers are going to bring it every night. They are not going to lie down and die, even though Paul George is out. They're going to bring it every night. So the Suns, they just need to bring it more. And next game, they need to be aggressive the whole time. Do not let the end score of this game fool you. It was incredibly close, it was incredibly back and forth, and it was truly a great game. And the number one thing to start with is the status of Ja Morant. Post game, he said that he was very doubtful and concerned about his status going forward. And if they're missing Ja, it's going to become an uphill battle for the Grizzlies, as today they lost home court advantage. And well, what happened today? How did they lose this home court advantage? Well, the Lakers put together one of their best team wins of the entire season. At the end of the game, Austin Reeves was unconscious and he closed for the Lakers. In the third and fourth quarter, Rui Hachimura was hitting consistent clutch threes. LeBron wasn't great, but he still demanded attention. AD was a force in the paint and had 10 total steals and blocks. Just all around, it was just great team effort. Another guy who showed out was D'Angelo Russell. While it may not jump off the stat sheet, he did help keep the Lakers in the game with some huge threes while the Grizzlies were making a run. This game was also really impressive for the Lakers because they did it without LeBron and AD really scoring at all in the fourth quarter. And when your other guys are able to be threats and you get such offensive production from them, it's going to be a huge advantage for them. Going into that advantage, I want to talk about Rui Hachimura because in a lineup of Austin Reeves, LeBron, AD, and D'Angelo Russell, that fifth player, whether it's Rui or Jared Vanderbilt, is going to be left open a lot because the other four guys can shoot or command a lot of attention. So for him to be knocking down open shots opened up a lot more for the Lakers offense, and it let guys like Reeves go to work, it let LeBron go to work, it let Davis go to work, and was very crucial. Closing my thoughts for the Lakers, I did have some concerns. My first concern being some of the rotations that Darvin Ham had was pretty puzzling. After the first quarter, 80 took a really big extended rest, and the Grizzlies sort of went on a run. And another thing that puzzled me was the lack of Lonnie Walker. I don't know what Darvin Ham sees, but I feel like Lonnie could be getting minutes over Malik Beasley or Troy Brown Jr. in certain situations. And how he manages his rotation in the minutes of Anthony Davis is going to be very concerning. Another thing is how the Lakers handled Jaren Jackson Jr., whether it be on defense or offense. On defense, the way they guarded him was a little concerning as you had Jared Vanderbilt on Ja, and you had AD as the help, but that sort of leaves no one who can guard Jaren Jackson in that situation because he was scoring on LeBron almost every time, and you can't really have AD cheat too much because that'll open up the paint for Ja. And on offense, the Grizzlies had a really good game plan for keeping Jackson out of foul trouble, as the Lakers weren't really able to get him in situations where he was vulnerable to be called for fouls, and he played most of the game and stayed on. So I think the Lakers really need to find ways to attack him, whether it be in a pick and roll or a post up, and maybe try and draw some fouls on him, as he can be undisciplined at times. Speaking of Jackson, he was great today, and he kept him in it for a while after Ja went out, but was unable to keep up. And if Ja's out, he's going to need to replicate the performance he had today, not getting in foul trouble, playing good defense, and hitting down a lot of shots. And if Ja's out, we're really going to need to see what the other Grizzlies are made of. Bane was good in the first half, but he shrunk in the second half. Dylan Brooks did not have a good shooting game, and overall, they weren't too great. And if you want to beat the Lakers without Ja, they're going to need some superhuman performances from guys they won't expect it from. So moving forward, if the Grizzlies want to win this series potentially without Ja for a game or two, they're going to need their supporting cast players to step up. And if the Lakers want to finish this series early, they're going to need to replicate this performance that they had today, whether it be Austin Reeves specifically or other guys like Dennis Schroeder steps up or Malik Beasley steps up. The biggest thing for the Bucks coming out of this game is the health and status of Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I don't necessarily mean for this series because I believe if Giannis does miss a game or two, they could be able to win this series pretty handily. It's just if Giannis is dealing with a back injury and they have to play teams like Cleveland or New York or Boston or Philly, these very physical teams, it can be very hard on his back and hard on his body. And with one of my main concerns of the Bucks being the shooting around him, and they shot horrible today, there could be a lot more pressure put on Giannis as they'd be fine leaving some of these guys open. I will give the Heat credit where credit is due. Butler played amazing, and they shot amazing today. But they suffered a huge loss in Tyler Hero with a broken hand, and I still think they're going to lose this series pretty easily. but it was great for them to get a win. So all in all, I don't think the Bucks are in trouble for this series. It's just Giannis's injury could potentially be a massive issue and a massive stain to their title hopes. All I have to say about this game in this series is if you're on the East Coast or if you're on the West Coast and you have work early in the morning, and you're a basketball fan, maybe just go to bed early. You can sleep through this one, Google the box score, maybe watch the highlights if you're into that, but you don't need to watch it. The series is going to be ass, and the Nuggets are going to sweep them. I'll talk more about the Nuggets going forward when we reach the second round. And that's all I got for these games today. I hope you enjoyed and subscribe for more because I'll be doing breakdowns as often as I can during the playoffs.